the thing about feminists, right, is they just have become an amalgam of people with victim complexes and superiority complexes. You're either there to feel victimized or there to feel better than everybody else. Have you ever seen a feminist rant do anything useful? The most useful thing I've seen a feminist rant do is chain up naked in the streets so homeless people get to my apartment complex. That's the only useful thing a feminist have ever done, right? And then going naked around, literally illegal. But the cops can't do anything about it because of their woman power, pushing over police cars and literally being a hate group. And that's the thing. Feminists are a hate group. They talk about, they raise chaos, they do hate speeches against men. They're literally the definition of a hate group. But there are so many feminists in the world that nobody can state that without being called misogynistic. You know? Okay, I'm done.
Well, actually, no, I do very much like that, because now we're going to make this a podcast. No.
Welcome to Smooth Grant Rants.
No, but if you think about it, though, it's only been the third wave of feminism that's been like this, because they're not actually fighting for anything in general. The first and second wave of feminism, they were actually about making equal rights and whatnot, but then you got the fucking third wave of feminism, and all they've really been doing is making fucking rape culture and fucking just hate men bashing. If we're gonna be honest here, that's all they really fucking do.
It's funny to me. They desperately find something to complain about, you know? They're like, oh, women can't stay at home and be whatever, single moms or whatever. They need to go find jobs. If you stay at home, you're not a real woman. I mean, how autistic is that?
You want to know what's funny is that, if you think about it, though, they're only ever like this when they're not around guys, because of the fact that they're always trying to please us, and that's the issue. They're putting themselves in this position by only ever trying to please us instead of trying to actually, fucking do their own thing. And it's fucking annoying as hell, because all they do is men bash, create rape culture, and fucking hate on anyone that speaks out against them. And the media is so fucking with them. Like, if you were to say anything against them, the fucking media would be all over it. You could be just some random ass guy on the fucking street, not even talking to them. What'd you say to me? I'm fucking triggered. You fucking offended me.
Okay.
Ridiculous.
Politics. Go.
And I'm so tired of the government paying for abortions. It's unethical, literally murder. I don't know why the government is paying for it. I don't think it should be illegal I don't think it should be legal at all. But if I were paying taxes, if my income tax, which I will have eventually, is being spent on abortions, which I am against, how is that even fair? I mean, how can you reasonably say, if this woman doesn't want to have a baby, if she doesn't want to deal with it because it's an inconvenience for her, how can you reasonably say I should pay for that? It's ridiculous.
Why don't you just put it up for adoption?
Exactly. I mean, if you really can't afford a baby, put it up for adoption. It's free. Go on.
I would definitely understand if it's like life-threatening and it's something they have to do, because, again, what I'm about to say is kind of going to support, being with abortion.
Yes.
But again, they aren't a fully grown life yet. However, I do not believe in abortion in general, and definitely not late-term abortions, because that shit's just fucked. Because at that point, you should be dedicated, unless, again, life-threatening, or if they've if they died in the womb or some shit. But in general, though, the problem is that due to abortion being legal in the United States, and I'm sure there are other countries where it's not illegal. But anyways, because it's legal, we can't have a say in what our taxes go to. The taxes are really just a right to live in the United States, which, again, I'm not with taxes at all, but what can you do?
Okay, so if the situation is either the baby dies or the baby and the mother died,
right,
then obviously abortion is going to be the right option. But if that's not the case, then it really shouldn't be how it is. And
if you're just doing it so your life will be more comfortable and you won't be spending money on a baby, something that if you're irresponsible enough to have a baby without being prepared, that's the punishment, then I don't know, you should just put it up for adoption. It'll be happier not dead. And one thing that I really hate is when they use the argument, well, if we don't make abortions legal, they'll just practice unsafe abortions. Really? That's like saying we should provide people with the guns specifically for murder, make murder free and legal, because if we don't give them those things, they'll just practice painful murder.
Actually, that thing about the unsafe abortion practices is actually one that was very common before abortions were legal, was actually sticking a coat hanger up you and actually possibly killing you in the process, because you had like a 50-50 chance of killing you, which, again, I don't agree with the fact that abortion should be legalized in any way, but you also do have to take into consider that you gotta look at the gray area of this. I mean, yes, I would understand if they're like 16 years old, this is their problem, but you also have to think about the fact how the brain isn't fully developed by that age. Of course, that's always changing, but it will never be 18 and under. But your brain isn't fully developed at the age, so your decision-making skills would be off, and, maybe you have other things that you want to do in life. And again, as much as this is your fault, you also have to think about the fact that, maybe they're just not mentally ready for this. They could, and I understand, like, putting them up for adoption and whatnot, but can you imagine how heartbreaking that would have to be for them? Of course, I'm not agreeing with abortion in any way. I think we should find...
You're just finding the counterpoint.
Yeah.
And they have to go through birth, which is, of
Right.
course, a painful process
Yeah.
in the first place.
So, and even if, and like, think about it this way, if you got drunk at a party at, again, like 16, 17 years old, and you had a one-night stand with a guy, and you don't even know him, you never meet him again, but you have his child. I mean, when you're drunk, your decision-making skills are just fucked entirely. So, abortion really is something. I don't think we're ever going to be able to agree on abortion in this.
There's an argument for it, of course, and I respect your opinion if you're against it. But honestly, I completely and wholeheartedly disagree with you if you are with it. I just don't understand how you could make this right. I think people are just... If abortion is going to be legal, I can deal with that. What I can't deal with is people encouraging it, people making it, humanizing it, I should say. It's like humanizing Hitler. You're still killing something. And I don't think people fully understand... I don't think people fully understand what they're doing. Okay, next topic.
I think... No, hold on.
Oh, go on.
I was talking with my mother about this, and this is something that most people that are with abortion agree. She doesn't agree or disagree. She's in the gray area on that matter. It's the fact that if you're simply doing this, like you said, to have a comfier life, or you're just doing it because you don't want a kid, and know that your decision-making skills are fine, then you are truly an evil person for removing a life that you will be creating that is your fucking fault for making. Alright, another topic.
Vaccination. This one...
Anti-vax moms are fucking retarded. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree with you. But I've got some opinions on this which maybe aren't popular, but there are some facts I think you should hear. I'm not saying being vaccinated causes autism or it gives you any illness, but 1% of the time through less than 1% of the time through unsafe needles and stuff like that, people can actually die from vaccines. But I'm not saying you shouldn't get your children vaccinated. I'm saying it should be up to you, right? It should be up to you, right? And I think, here's my idea. Oregon has already instated this, and I think it's a great law. What you need to be able to do is, you shouldn't be required to get vaccinated, because that's not what America's about, right? You shouldn't be required to get your kids vaccinated, because it's also dangerous. But your kids should have a choice. They should be able to go to the hospital and decide for themselves to get vaccinated. I know I just sound like some kid ranting about how I can't vote and everything, but it's a genuinely good idea.
I do... Okay. Go ahead. Yeah, you haven't said much, so...
So, with that idea, the idea that the kids should get a choice, if the children are young, like...
3, maybe?
3?
4?
Okay.
Let's say like by 9 or 12.
But we kind of can't let them choose. That sounds evil. But they could be afraid of needles, so that could affect their decision. They could be afraid of there's so many things that they could be afraid of that it's probably more
Upper
dependent
ages.
on the, yeah.
But the problem with that theory, which I would full-heartedly agree with, but the problem with that idea or theory is the fact that at a very young age, they will need to get vaccinated, or else they have a very high possibility of being exposed to something like measles or polio and just dying before they're even old enough to make that decision. And then again, this also comes along with what I stated earlier, the decision-making process and how, we are going to make the right decision. Of course, it's always the right decision to vaccinate yourself because science has proven that it does not cause fucking autism.
They're just looking for something, and then the whole aborted babies being in your vaccine.
Yeah, but no, I do. At the same time, if our decision-making skills were developed from the moment that we were born, and that we were mature and as intelligent enough to be able to make that decision, not even fucking 3 minutes into being born, then yes, I would agree with that. But the problem is that, again, they might die before they can even make that decision.
They might is extremely, extreme emphasis on the word might. It's been the biggest problem, especially in Clark County, actually the most of any of these states and counties, is that they've been getting measles. And the thing about measles is it's not as bad as it's all cooked up to be, right? It's only 500 out of 500 million Americans in the 1970s who got measles survived and completely got over it. So there is a huge danger to not getting your kids vaccinated, but also there's very little to none reason to not get them vaccinated. You're literally more likely to die of the diseases than the vaccination.
Actually, what's interesting about vaccines is what they do is they actually inject a much lesser form, same disease, but they'll actually inject it into you so that your body learns how to fight them. So they will always stay in your body, but the thing is about them that they have been basically downgraded and can't do any harm to you because your white blood cells, the shit that protects you, will get to it before they can get to you.
And that brings up the question, is it ethical to force people to get vaccinated for a short amount of time so that all these diseases are eradicated and then it can be your choice? I feel like that would be a good option, except for the fact that you're still forcing Americans, which is not what America's about, to do something such as that should be completely and wholeheartedly your choice.
Right, and you also have to remember, though, even if it was only supposed to be a short-term thing, what the vaccines do is they teach your body how to fight it off to begin with. And plus, there has been literally no cases, except for you've gotten slightly sick for getting a vaccine. But there's been no cases of a life-threatening disease, which is what they are, they injected to you. But they're, again, downgraded so they can't do shit to you. Actually being able to kill someone, they don't cause autism like most people would like to believe these days. And, God, what was that one point you made?
Less than 1% of people die from vaccines because of some crazy fluke that's happened needle-wise or bacteria-wise or whatever.
And I would like to theorize the fact that maybe it's I can't speak. Maybe it's not the vaccines causing it, but more the doctors not being careful about what they're doing with the needles or where they've been leaving everything. I mean, that could also be another huge issue because if they were to accidentally use the needle again, like you said, it's less than 1%, so this is very highly.
Usually the doctors clean it immediately after. And
they don't even
clean it; they throw it away. However, if the doctor were to forget about it, you might have somebody else's disease, like an STD or something, just straight up getting injected into you. So, again, this is very highly unlikely, and it's just a little theory of mine. Because, like you said, it's a less than 1% chance. So, oh yeah, go ahead.
And the thing about that is you're still more likely to die from these diseases which are highly, unlethal, but still lethal.
Right.
So they're bad.
They're bad for you, definitely.
You're still more likely to be killed by them than the vaccine. So what does it even matter?
Right. It's not just the vaccine teaches the. Oh, did I interrupt you? I'm sorry.
No, I can make that point later.
Okay.
It's just moving on.
It's
to another
just
point.
It's not even that, though. The vaccines don't just teach you how to fight off those very life-threatening diseases. But again, they are not nearly as bad as they seem. However, some are very bad as they seem. Or as bad as they seem. It's the fact that it's not just that. It also helps strengthen your immune system in general. So that you can, because there have been cases where people who haven't gotten a vaccine have died from the common fucking cold. And that's the issue. Because it's not just teaching your body to fight off these very extreme diseases, which you can still catch them nonetheless, just a much smaller percentage chance of it. It's just that it just in general is meant to strengthen your immune system, because the common cold, without these vaccines, I mean, back in, like, the fucking dark ages and whatnot, the common cold could very much kill you. Because
It's
you
just
were constantly being exposed to things that were, well, bacteria infested.
Yes, and I get that you could make the point, well, it should be possible to not choose chances on your child. You shouldn't have to make the choice of getting them vaccinated, which is a very low percentage of them dying, or not getting them vaccinated, which is also a more but very low percentage chance of them dying. I get that you shouldn't have to make that choice, but that's not an option. We would have to advance medical science a decade, let's say, in order to make that a possibility. It's just not an option.
Fair enough. I think the problem with a lot of the topics that are discussed in today's society.
It's opinions versus facts.
Right. But it's not even that, though. You'll also have to take your time, because our minds immediately like to go black and gray, good and bad. But you don't take your time to look at the gray area of it all. Hey, shut up. We ain't making mixed babies here today, all right?
You said black and gray, but you have...
Oh, wait, I said black and gray? Black and white. But you have to take the time to look at the gray area, because because I think that we wouldn't have such extreme political sides, and this is kind of segueing into another topic, unless you want to do a different topic. I was talking to him. But I feel like if people weren't so extreme and only saw black and white, and they could take their time to examine the gray a bit, that we could really come to an agreement on a lot of, things that happen today. Because there are definitely mothers who just aren't ready for a child. This is back on the abortion, it's just only for a brief second, that aren't ready for a child, but at the same time it is unethical and immoral to do that.
Yeah.
Unless, again, life-threatening, could kill you, blah, blah,
Or
blah.
the baby.
Right. So it just is really... It's just that people need to take their time to look at the gray areas, because you wouldn't have such extremes and everyone could stop fucking screaming at each other. I mean, God, how long has our country been divided over this? It's not even just that, though.
Years.
It's a bunch of fucking other
Since the country has been
groups.
founded, there have been problems over people just going to the two extremes of political issues. That's literally how the Democratic and Republican parties are founded. And practically no one is in between. I don't even know what that party is called.
Some of them are called libertarians, or if you don't agree with any of them, then you could be or not some, but one of the groups that my mom was part of is the libertarian, which is like you agree with some aspects from both sides, but then there are other things that you also have your own political beliefs in. But then there are also people called the independents who don't agree with anything, for that matter. So I think it really is just a matter of people being able to stop, take a second, and think, hey, what is your opinion on this? Because what people's immediate reaction is to do is the moment they hear something they don't like, they fight back instead of trying to hear it out.
Exactly.
That's the issue with the extremes. That was a really weird topic that just kind of got segued out of nowhere.
I think we're done here.
Yeah, I think I'm done.
That's all I had to rant about. I got it all out.
Yeah, honestly.